What's going on, everyone? I wasn't gonna make a video like this week because I wanted to get back into the whole gaming news aspect that I've been going on a tangent, talking about all these depressing topics about all these characters and stuff. And like the recent uh news coming out of like all these creators, Hassan and all that stuff. It's just like I said in the last video, like this was Hassan's last claim to fame because like now Ethan has just unleashed his inner Jew and just like started suing the shit out of everyone that like fucks with him and shit. With like one of his latest victims being the guy who's like sent skulls to his house. And it's just like the weirdest thing too is like all these people, right? They act all tough and all like very standoffish, like the type of person that like is asking to get punched, but at the same time, as soon as they get punched, they're gonna cry and then like try to get a lawsuit to like make some money back, like the types of like bitches that like is indicative with their side and shit, like Punjabis be like that too, right? And then like he's like this guy who sent the skulls apparently to Ethan Klein. He's like, I'm taking care of my sick. I'm only like he's 37 by the way, and he's like he's like according to Asmund Gold and his editors, he posts something like 7 tweets a day on average on Twitter or X whatever on average. So he's like, he could be doing more per day, less per day, or like none per day. But like that is like it isn't just terminally online. Like these guys are like I think they redefine the definition of loser, and it's like one of those case points where you have a group of individuals that even if you study them throughout history and time, like without the context of like video evidence and like combining like all the actions and then like their their rhetoric, it's like first they're so like hyper aggressive and like they are accusing all of these people of Israel of being like a genociding race of people, but like you never hear any of these people acknowledging that Hamas and like subsequently some of the Palestinians who are just like fighting for like this disgusting like cause of theirs, that they use their own as human shields. Like I said, like they'll use their own people, their own civilians as human shields, and the entire community, including like the media, is just ignoring it. Like they're dressing it up as just Israel attacking people randomly, sporadically, giving no warnings and stuff. Like, let's be fair, if Israel really wanted to, they would have ended this war you know maybe a couple months ago. And chances are the reason why the prisoners have been killed was that they had nothing to negotiate with other than those prisoners. And the second that like they knew that like they had no like high ground, that like they conceded to like giving back the prisoners. Like they said like, okay, we'll give them back, and then they just started killing them like losers. And we have to bring this up because it's like, how is it that okay, another video by Rehab Room, aka Hassan's, brother from another inbred mother. And the reason why, like, and people are gonna call me racist for saying this, but like the reason why I say they're so similar and so alike, beyond like the whole like inbreeding and like similar religion and all that bullshit, is that they both like keep telling themselves this bullshit that isn't like gonna solve any of their problems. So in the case of Hassan, right, after pulling out his gun on stream, I don't know what he thought of, like why he thought this was a good idea. He brought this guy named Stavros. So Stavros is a Greek name, right? Onto his podcast. I don't know if this guy's like a comedian or like whoever, like he's like a straight up guy, and he's just like ripping into Hassan like completely, like pretty much everything that I and everybody else has been saying about Hassan and then some, like things that I didn't even know about. Like he would go to these like weird ass parties with like, kids, and like, what I mean, trying to fit in all the time, trying to remain relevant. And then like as he's getting like, basically exposed by Stavros, he's just like like he's stupefied. Like he literally cannot respond to anything that he's saying. Like it's just watching his career just like implode. And I want to give props to More Pegasus, because like, More Pegasus, like if you go on his like YouTube page and you just go, you click his videos as like, you're curious, dog. I thought I talked about Hassan a lot, and I endorse everybody, anybody and everybody who wants to talk about this guy. Don't be shy about it. Just like make as many videos as you want talking about him, like exposing him, because he just keeps doing dumb shit. And like the craziest thing is like, that he's not gonna like, either A, he's not gonna support these like losers in their like, lawsuit against Ethan Klein, or he's just gonna like support them and be bitter about it for the rest of his life. I mean, you gotta hand it. You gotta hand it to Ethan, right? Chances are, before he even like, decided like he was gonna proceed with a lawsuit, he was probably seeking legal advice and like, how to proceed and maneuver with like, these these characters, these individuals. What is it? What's her name again? Yeah, Denims. I don't know why she calls herself that. I like, does she ever wear jeans or something? Like, why does she call herself that? Anyways, she's putting out adult content, and I just look at her. I'm like, this looks like a guy. This looks like a trans person. What is this? Why would you do this? And it's like, holy shit, dude, how desperate are you for like, money to like win in your lawsuit, that you have to like literally, stoop to that level, and you're not attractive. Like I've been saying this the whole time about, Hassan and his whole crew of people. Like these people are unattractive. Like why do you guys keep opening your mouths for? Like you're just gonna bring like, reality to your doorstep, and you're not gonna like that. Like, how much money do you think she made with those bitches? Yo, Doc, you know porn is free, right? Pornography is free, and as much as you have like, supporters and this and that, and people who are just willing to like, give into you, like you buy into your shit to like, support you no matter what. Like, no, nobody wants to see that shit. And that's just her. Like the other ones are just doing the same thing, like GoFundMe's and like this and that. They're not raising any money. Oh, dude. Like, I gotta bring this up because it's like, okay, so I've been watching this video by Incel TV, Hassan's brother from another mother, and he's like talking about natural selection and about like, all these facial features and all the bullshit, like, these fucking numbers that these incels do with the whole like looks maxing bullshit. Just fucking dumb. It's just like it's a cover to hide how like, flamboyantly homosexual they are. It's just like, oh no, man, I don't have the right number facial ratio to like match with a girl. And I'm like thinking to myself, what about, girls who like, don't have like conventionally like, symmetrical faces, or mathematically like, pristine bodies or some shit like that. Like girls could be attractive like regardless of not meeting like, this mathematical criteria of like, because like when you break down attraction to that, right, to like, you're not dealing with personality in any way, shape, and form, and like that's like the last thing, to like address, right? So like think about it like this, like the whole time all these people, right, they're not like wanting to sit down and acknowledge their problems. Hassan doesn't want to acknowledge the problem that he's wrong and that he's a psychopath and that his side is full of losers. And like um Intel TV, aka Rehab Room, doesn't want to acknowledge that he likes guys and he's just, he's on the wrong team, you know? Like I don't know. He said he was like he wasn't in an English speaking country, so I'm guessing somewhere in Europe and shit. Like I don't know if it's Germany, Spain, but like dog, they banned, because of Middle Eastern people, but like they banned men from going into swimming pools, like public swimming pools in Germany. Like that's pretty fucking big. Like you have to acknowledge like you can't be giving advice to anybody anymore. You gotta like preach to the choir. Like yeah, you're always gonna have people on your side who are like multicultural from like all these different backgrounds and shit. Like saying hey like I can't find a girl this, I can't find a girl that, and that's their situation, not your situation. Your situation is you and your homies. You all have to compete, right? And here's the thing: you don't think natural selection exists because there's arbitrary um, qualities that don't actually matter in natural like evolution and stuff. So you're thinking that like being an ogre, being like ugly, or being like whatever, just for the sake of being strong, is more beneficial than like But have you ever thought that those people that you are showing and portraying are inbred? Like, have you ever thought to yourself that like the reason why people like dislike people's faces for looking a certain way, or like certain facial features, or like whatever, like you could even go as far as to say like people who get bald very early on in life are an indicator of like bad health or something like that, that instinctually females would be less attracted to, because they have like a shorter lifespan. Like if you're going to be going bald in your mid 20s to early 30s, chances are you're going to have a lower life expectancy than someone who went bald in their mid 30s or in their mid 40s, etc., right? Like what are we even talking about? What you're saying about natural selection actually does have a provable like aspect, whether you choose to accept it or not. And that's the problem, is that you weren't selected. Hassan wasn't selected. He was gifted. He was bestowed. He wasn't selected. He will never know what that's like to be selected, And that's his whole anguish against Ethan Klein, is that Ethan, and I don't know his like personal story or whatever, but like he seems like a genuinely okay type of person that like has his quirks or whatever, right? But he was selected to live his life by his fiance, whatever, right? And now he's like doing his thing, and just like Stavros said, dog, you're pushing whatever, however old you are, and you don't have a kid, and it doesn't even matter if you have a kid. You're so bitter and so like petty that if you have a kid, that kid's worse off. Like you've been told off by this guy you brought on your channel, and you know what he did to like try to like bounce back from it? He brought on his like yes men to try to like bash. No, was it Asmongold or Ethan Klein? It doesn't even matter. It's just like look at this guy and like not address any of the stupid shit that I do, and then they're just like laughing at this person. Ha ha ha. I'm like, man, you're so sad, dude. Like your kind is lost. Like so, Afghanistan has, or the UK government has smuggled in a bunch of men into the UK. All right, and you see like some of these videos, they're a bunch of men like slapping. They're slapping each other shirtless in the streets of Germany. It's like a swarm of them, and they're just like chanting some song. And you wanna pretend that women are attracted to that. Does that seem like natural selection to you? Does that seem like evolution? No, that's de-evolution. That's going backwards. See, this is what you're advocating for, Rehab Room and Hassan. Like, yo, your side is lost. You will never win. Nobody wants, because it's like, okay, think of it like this, right? people want to come into the country, right, for whatever reason, money, a better life, whatever. What percentage of them want to say white women? Like, I'm serious. What percentage of them just want to actually come out and just say that white women? I'm here for white women. Because I guarantee you, like, if you walk up to like, these boats that are just like coming off on the shore of these like European countries, like, they don't have to say it. You could just like get like one of those like mind reading devices, where you're like, Professor X, use Cerebro. It's like, I gotta go tap into the mind of the illegal migrant. I need to know what is it they need. Let's communicate. Oh wait, what is this? I'm being overwhelmed. Oh, it's all this pornography, and like all these guys that they compare themselves to all the time. That's why they at least are like, as much as they bash them and stuff, they look just like them and act just like them, like all the time. It's insane. And that's why like they're all so desperate to take over like the westernized, aka like the land that like white women feel safe and call their home. They're born in, like the places that like originate. It's all because of them that they're here. Let's be honest. And like it's a two-sided approach, because let's be fair, like women don't like every single guy out there, and a lot of women don't like, just guys in general, and a lot of guys in general like terrible things that happen to women, and like they are preemptively against women, right? Like, case in point. So before I pre-ordered Ghost of Yotei, I was planning on doing it anyway. I was like thinking to myself, wait, what about all these other games, like, that I haven't touched yet? Rise of Ronin, Neo 3 is coming out. Another one is Wulong. Uh, yeah, Wukong. Sorry, Black Myth Wukong. I can't believe I mixed those two up. Wulong is a different game, but also by Team Ninja. But like, I rather play Rise of Ronin first before and I still have to get back into Neo too. So, and I bring all this up because like I got the first game and I went into it completely blind, and it was like one of those times where I was delightfully surprised. Like, the only thing I would say that Ghost of Tsushima needed a little bit more was like, okay, maybe some new weapons, and like a little bit, because I know they weren't going for it, but like a little better version of like horse combat, where you're just like, instead of just like randomly swinging, like maybe you have some like jousting system or something like that. Right, but other than that, the game was more or less perfect, right? Fast forward, we have like the sequel, and it's starring a female protagonist, and so many people, females included, by the way, like the usual suspects, right? Like people who are on that side of the fence, who like are always saying that gaming is a us versus them mentality, and like, yeah, I get that like the voice actress is a very much an activist of sorts, right? But it's like, come on, guys. Like, Japanese people aren't like aliens from another planet. Like, they have their own language, their own country, and all this stuff. Like, you could just set the language to Japanese. Like, I did that the first time, and I'm so happy, because it's like, okay, going back and playing Ghost of Tsushima with like English voiceovers, like they don't do a terrible job, but it's just like, like it feels so like disingenuous to play like a game like this. Like, I just prefer, like, if I'm gonna play a game set in that time period in Japan, like I'd rather people speak Japanese. I could pick up on a word or two, so it's kind of cool. Well, like, here, like they just want to write the game off for being something that, like, it isn't going to be a quality product. Like, the first game, for all like the things that it does well, it is kind of basic. Like, it's a beautiful game to look at, but like it is essentially like an Assassin's Creed ish game. Like, it's basic, right? Like, you go around, You clear villages, you do like activities, missions, find collectibles, the usual like grind through, right? And the thing that like, sets it apart is like, the cosmetics and the graphics were absolutely gorgeous, like just galloping or even just like running around the fields with all the grass and the leaves moving all at once was just, breathtaking. And I was watching this Japanese guy, and I think his name is Shohei Kondo. I think I subscribed to him on YouTube. He was saying that like Yote, the island, is so much bigger than Tsushima. It's like it's huge. It's like it's massive. So this idea of a game being like derivative, yet the people who made this game, right? Like if we're gonna take Assassin's Creed Shadows as a direct comparison, like they're going to be more authentic to the locations. They're going to be more authentic to the voiceovers and to the storyline. And most importantly, like they actually have. And I here's the thing, like I'm an Instagram addict, right? I like to go on Instagram. I like to, look at all these, hot girls. You know what I mean? And just like, hit the like button. So show some support. Moral support. Anyways, I just like, okay, well, I noticed like, because I don't just like girls and stuff. Like I like a bunch of other stuff like anime, Japanese, samurai stuff. And then you see this guy, Shiabata, and he's playing, the shamisen. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll hit the like button, show my support. Turns out he's making music in this game. Him and his sister, they actually play the instruments. That's so crazy. And like, I didn't even know that before pre-ordering the game, and then I'm just like so happy that like you got the authentic Japanese music, you have the authentic Japanese location. Like, what more can you want? And people are gonna say that just because you play a female, the game is gonna be bad. Like that's why, like how like some guys in life were not selected. Like they were not liked by women, and then they had to grow up living in a world where that was their reality, and they come up with all these different kinds of copes and stuff instead of just like acknowledging that, well, I could do things that will make women like me. Like for me, right, when I started jogging long distance, I had like this next door neighbor, and she was athletic and I wasn't. So I was like, okay, how do I impress her and shit? But then I was like, okay, I was totally out of it. And then by the time I actually caught up to like actually being athletic, like I was 19, I was 20. I was like, already too late. Like, but I just kept with it. And that's like one of those things that I want to say that in hindsight, I'm glad that I stuck by my guns, and that's why, I went long distance jogging, whatever, right? But in reality, it was just a coping mechanism for my depression. Like I could admit it now that I'm older and stuff. It was very much a coping mechanism for my depression. Just go jogging, tune out, go for a long distance, get really tired, come back, shower, do this enough times, becomes derivative, casual, almost like occupational, right? So like eh, and it would I have benefited from like losing all that weight had I had not took that approach to coping with my depression and stuff? No, of course not. But if I didn't do anything at all, obviously I have to accept my lot in life and understand why I will not be selected or appear attractive to women, because again, like, what happens if like the reverse, right? What happens if she was attracted to me but she was overweight, and then she asked me, because I was doing the long distance running or jogging and stuff, go run, go jog and stuff, and then she comes with me, and then she can't keep up, and then she ends up just sticking with the whole jogging and stuff, and then she loses weight. Like, it'll obviously benefit her, but again, I would not at that time be attracted to her because she would be overweight. We were teenagers, yada yada yada, right? Like we all say to ourselves, "I'll be a better person," or "I would do things differently," and like I think that level of dishonesty is the reason why like a lot of guys are in the situation that they're in. Like Hassan honestly wouldn't be in the situation that he was in if he was honest with himself. Like he has to understand that people don't like, not just Muslims, but the Palestinians and like all these people coming into first world nations, forcing people into a very strict mindset where it's not just an us versus them mentality. It's also like if you're on the wrong side, there is no such thing as like playing fair, being nice with you, because morals and like whatever like rules don't apply to you. You can just like steal from them, like attack them. Like the idea that like people can come up to you on the street and ask you about Palestine is just so fucking stupid. If somebody came up to me and asked me straight up to my face about Palestine, I'd be like, yo, if a country like Palestine can exist, right? Where a bunch of guys go into a country, kill a bunch of people, civilians, rape a bunch of kids, women, whatever, right? Like, and torture, like, commit a bunch of war crimes, like torturing, prisoners, amputating limbs, and all that stuff. If they're allowed to have a country, then we are living in hell. And I think anybody who says anything else other than that is lying to you. You're not selected. You're not liked. You're not on the right side of history. You have to keep telling yourself that and buying people, you know? And you could point your fingers at Trump and like the Epstein case and all that stuff, but hey man, your people are raping little kids right now. You're losers. You've been selected for being a loser.